Hello, Internet, and welcome back to Antiheroes Anonymous, or welcome for the first time if it's your first time joining us. But that would be a bad time to join because this will be your last time joining us. Because this is our final episode, not because anything sinister is going to happen.
Well, I mean, maybe.
That's true. Something sinister could happen.
Not to you. You'll be fine.
I can't guarantee that.
I can't guarantee that.
Nick, do you want to start off some player introductions?
Sure.
Wait,
Then,
but what are we playing?
Oh, you're right. I didn't introduce myself.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Who are you? Who are you?
Who are
I'm really
you?
thrown off, guys. I'm Ethan, and I'm the Dungeon Master of this 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons show! Alright, now you can introduce yourself, Nick.
I'm Nick. I play Eight-Headed Serpent, the Human Vengeance Paladin.
I'm Kay. I play Harmony, who is a tiefling wild magic sorcerer.
I am Melissa, and I play Mara, who is a human rogue swashbuckler.
Ooh.
What are all your classes like?
I'm Zach, and I play Hunter, who's a Warforged Battlemaster, Fighter, Beastmaster, Ranger.
Double Master. Couple announcements. We, in the past, have streamed on Twitch every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, but no longer. We post our episodes streamed on Twitch to YouTube following Wednesday, but no longer.
You telling me then?
Throughout the show, we have
So
used
weird.
a variety of custom items as well as a custom wild
We're
magic
still
table.
doing that today.
Yes, and we will continue to do that for about 2 hours more.
And then no longer.
Then no longer. Our music comes from BattleBards, TabletopAudio, and Incompetech, and I will probably continue to use them for role-playing
They're pretty
games
good.
after this because they're pretty good, so they continue. Our character
And
portraits,
longer.
which I will continue to look at, were drawn by an artist named Carrie Peach, who goes by @CarrieDraws on Twitter.
And she still will.
And she still will.
She still will. If you're watching this on Twitch, you can't because it's going to be broadcast on YouTube.
And no longer.
And then if you're watching us on YouTube, which is the only way you can watch this episode, check the video description for links and info about everything I just mentioned and more. Other than that, you can follow us on Twitter if you want to know when we're doing nothing. At Antiheroes Anon. And other than that, that's been the end of the comedy show. It's going to get very serious from now on. Because this is the final showdown, and we are in the middle of a very intense battle. So I will do a quick recap, and then we'll get right into that.
Sure.
The party had recovered the lost treasures of the 4 great spirits of the Elderhaven Reaches. The White Tiger Byakko, the Black Turtle Genbu, the Azure Dragon Seiryu, and the Vermilion Bird Suzaku. While at the Temple of Byakko, in the Forest of Death, they claimed Kusanagi, which is one of said lost treasures. And at a Tengu Monastery in the mountains, they recovered a mirror, one of the other said treasures, from an old enemy of theirs named Kuor, a Warforged Mind Flayer turned Warforged Elder Brain. Actually, I think he was an Undead Mind Flayer first.
Oh, yeah.
Undead Mind Flayer turned Warforged Mind Flayer turned Warforged Elder Brain. Not important.
He's dead.
He's
He's
dead. He won't be coming back.
A pair of Kitsune allies arrived with Suzaku's Magatama gem and presented that to the party. And with that, they had all the treasures assembled, and so they stealthily infiltrated Hunter's old village, where they penetrated the bunker of the Eyes and Hands of the World without being seen, and made their way towards their final confrontation with the Wizard Orin and the Eight-Headed Serpent Orochi. Upon crossing the threshold to the Spirit Realm, and receiving encouragement from their spirit allies, and refusing to bend to Orochi's will, a fight ensued. Hunter became giant.
And no longer.
But he is no longer. Orin cast a bunch of spells. Orochi's heads each had different powers that they were using to great effect. Thaddeus managed to get close to Orin and dispel the evil hold of Orochi over him, regaining his consciousness, allowing him to cast Finger of Death on one of Orochi's heads, completely withering it, and killing the first head of the Eight-Headed Serpent. And not long after that is where we're picking up. So why don't you guys go around while I get some music and describe your current situation in the battlefield, and then I'll just get things on my end.
Alright. Thaddeus is currently unconscious, but he's in the space of Hunter's healing spirit. So if he survives to the beginning of the turn, he'll be all right.
Harmony's way off in the middle of nowhere, in the corner there. I don't know if Ethan has turned the map cam on or not yet.
I'm trying to sort out music.
But I'm off in the corner. I just basically dimension doored out of there, and I've got Sunbeam active, and I've been basically taking top shots at Orochi heads.
Yeah. AoEs.
I'm also like, I went to 0 last time, and then used my
Suzaku.
my blessing from Suzaku to come back to
Yeah.
life, and so that's used up.
Mara's basically been flying around, but then she got knocked down, fell down pretty hard, so she's hurting pretty bad. But she has a plan.
That's true. You dropped to 0 hit points too, and then Gembu interceded and
With-
summoned.
Charlie.
Charlie, our sweet little people.
That was really helpful.
Saved my life, literally.
Yeah.
Hunter is now a medium-sized creature. He's been surrounded by Orochi heads for
But he's
most of the
still
battle.
something else.
But what?
He's still something else then.
What is he?
The forester.
Oh yeah, so I did cast Guardian of Nature, which transformed him into a more like bestial, tiger-like, Byakko-looking form, and so that's still active. And right now he has Kusanagi drawn, and he is trying to make way with the Orochi heads that are surrounding him.
All right. What I discovered while you were all going through that was that my speaker isn't playing audio through it today. So you guys are going to be without sound.
Well, I didn't post. It's cool.
Your speaker is so fickle.
Yep. It works one week and then not the next week.
The speaker used to play audio, but no longer.
But no. Thank you, Zach.
You're welcome.
And with that, we will dive right into the battle since I've got the map cam up and the
Oh, yeah,
audio
I'm
playing.
doing double damage right now
Oh.
too.
That's right. I forgot about that.
At the top of the round, it is
I'm gonna do
Mara's
it.
turn.
I'm gonna do it now.
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna do it.
I'm
Are you?
I'm
On my turn.
going to use my lovely belly slippers of unpredictable momentum that Harmony so generously made and donated to my cause. So, gotta roll
Please don't roll
a
wild magic.
d10.
I mean, wild magic might be good.
It-
It's a
That's
4.
what I say.
Okay, so
Okay.
you click the heels of the slippers together and a little bit of that chaotic magic flies off of them, but when that fades, you hear you feel the incredible hum of great power and speed as you just begin to vibrate with great momentum.
Don't forget to take 5 hit.
Yes.
Thank you.
Fine. Oh yeah,
Take
good,
five.
good call.
That helps. Okay, so can you move me up by that?
Yes. Oh, I got it. Where do you want to go?
By Byaku.
Because she can basically just run.
Can she like do like this to like not?
This
Provoke
is way
an
too
OA?
high, but I think she might be able to jump.
Yeah, I mean, she could jump that,
Okay.
I think.
Cool.
If she had a running start, she could leap up there.
Yeah, she has a running start of like 20
So
feet.
Mara kind of runs
She's
and
going at 80
leaps.
miles an hour.
Leaps over the
No.
starry void, scrambles up on the broken stairway there, and then
So-
leaps the rest of the way.
Leaving pink sparkles
This is
behind
that's the
in
one
our
that
wake.
we were
That's the
targeting.
one we hit.
That's
My
the
glitter in my glamour.
Pink
Is this-
sparkles.
Did you want to be on the corner
Rainbow
right
colored
here, or
sparkles.
did you want to be anywhere else?
Right there
there
is
too?
fine.
Okay.
unicorn colored sparkles.
And I'm going to make an attack on that black guy.
Okay.
Black kid. Oh. Okay, so I can't fail, so I'm going to use my special ability.
Oh, okay, this is the one where you get to
What's the
reroll with
ability
advantage.
called?
So-
With advantage.
Oh, right.
The Master Duelist or
Master
whatever.
Duelist.
Yep, okay.
Okay. Nice.
I remember.
Oh!
Best use of that ever!
Yes.
Oh my god, double sneak attack damage!
Oh my gosh, so I'll just roll it twice.
Okay.
I got
I mean,
all
we can
these
donate.
D6s too.
Okay, I'll just roll it twice. The math.
That's gonna look so satisfying if there's something more.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's, are you sure?
Alright.
How many do you need?
So I need 10 more. Plus
10?
another d4. There's a d4. Because I get 9 plus 1 for the
Oh
weapon.
gosh. You can't even shake them. There's like a solid block of dice.
Unicorn vomit.
Oh,
Oh no!
there's a lot more.
That's not good.
Below average.
Okay, 10.
But don't forget, you get to roll it all over again. So,
No, she.
No,
oh,
I
she
think I
rolled
rolled
everything
everything.
together.
Oh,
Are you gonna let her do that? Quad damage.
40.
I'm so scared of this number right now.
What is that?
Oh, that one's cocked. You can re-roll that one.
Okay,
That
so
has a
that's
roll.
60, I know.
60. 65.
65 points of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All those. Look at all those 2s and 1s.
You get an offhand attack now too, though.
You do?
You want to know how much damage you've done to Orochi so far?
Yes.
How much?
666.
Oh, wicked.
This one's secret here. These are mine.
Is that with his healing? That's just like the total damage.
Okay, so offhand attack.
Does
Might
it
be
grant advantage to all of your attacks for this round,
No.
or just that one attack?
Just that one.
Mhm.
20. No, 19.
19 to hit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, scrapes off against the scales of Orochi.
Hey, but you have. Oh wait, no, that was your second attack. Never mind.
You have a free thing you can do though.
Yes, and I'm going to. I think I want to call it Orman Barbarian.
Okay.
Oh shit!
So you mentally shout that command to Genbu, and you hear him reply in your head, "Okay, man, I'll go get her." And not a second later, a burst of light appears next to you, forming into the spectral form of a dwarven figure who Thaddeus, Harmony, and Hunter recognize, but Mari, you've only heard tell of. She is burly and strong in the extreme. She looks battle-worn and hardy. And she appears right here in the space next to you.
Yes! Get her, get her, get her!
And I am going to have Zach, Kay, and Nick.
Mhm.
Each of you needs to make an attack roll at advantage as
I'm unconscious.
it's for
It's for
Nasria.
Nasria.
Oh, okay.
As she takes her battle axe, flies into a rage, and recklessly attacks this thing
Nice.
3 times.
18 plus something?
I'm just trying to get her sheet up here. Hold on.
18 on that.
I think it's like plus 11, so you're good.
I got a 16 on that.
I got an 8. I don't think I hit.
It is plus the great axe 11. So hit,
Miss.
and miss.
Yeah, I got a 19.
When she is raging, that is 1d12 plus. How much does her rage damage? I should have paid more attention to this. Plus 4 extra damage, so 1d12 plus 10.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there you go.
21.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
22.
22, so that's
43.
43
Over 100 damage for my turn.
for your turn.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
I need to do some math, and then I'm gonna do something real quick.
Okay.
Are we giving Nasria a trophy?
God, I hate that thing so much.
I know. Gosh, I can't believe he's just so epic.
Technically, it would be Mara's turn.
Yeah, man.
If he
rolled
gets
an
all
8.
of Oren's trophies, she gets
Yeah,
all of
I
the
guess.
spirits.
Oh, is that what's happening? Okay. I see.
So technically, look at all
Um,
this that I could.
As Nasria appears and flies into a rage and slashes 3 times into this monster, she shouts.
Take that, you bastard!
You can hear that on the webcam.
That's
There.
incredible.
Take that, you bastards!
I'm sure they
And then just as her form is beginning to fade, she looks around at the group of you with a look of encouragement in her eyes and says,
What are you doing standing around like that? Let's go and get them!
and then she fades out of existence.
Some good.
That's fun.
That's great.
That's some sort of mechanism.
Anything else on Mara's turn?
I can have a bonus action. No, I use my bonus
Yeah,
action.
I think you're up.
You have some movement
Yes,
left.
yeah.
You could.
Yeah, so I
Go
better
somewhere.
move a little further away from that dude.
Which direction do you want to go?
Let's see. Let me go stand a little closer to Hunter, I think.
So like over here.
Yeah.
Cool.
And he can't take an OA on her because she hit
Yep.
him.
There it is.
At the end of her turn, though, the black head, which Mara just attacked and did massive damage to, was leering towards Orin. But it instead fixes its gaze on Mara
Oh, no, it's gonna suck for you.
and rolls a... What level spell is haste?
It's a 3rd level.
Oh, okay, never mind. And Mara, your haste, which you just
No.
put on you, fades, and you feel this wave of lethargy take over you.
This is the downside of haste.
Okay.
And then it is Hunter's turn.
Okay.
Could have been a lot worse.
Well, I'm gonna heal for 5. And I'm going to attack the same head as Mara. Yako's gonna do his attack first with his reaction. That's gonna miss.
Poor Yako.
Figured it out.
Claws scrape against the scales,
I'm gonna
sending
make-
sparks everywhere.
Some attacks with Kusanagi. That's a 19 on die. Pretty sure it's gonna hit. It's 33. You wanted me to do these separate, so I'll do them separate.
Yep, that's my plan.
17. So that's 18 for the first attack.
Okay.
That's a 27 to hit.
That'll hit.
And that's a 21 on the second hit.
21 points of damage.
Yep. And the last one is a.
You are not going to have to roll
Okay.
that last one against that head, as
Oh.
with the third slash or the second slash of Kusanagi, you
Never mind.
slice through its jaw, and it just kind of slices in half, and that head kind of splits and falls off of the body.
Woo!
Yes.
All right.
So,
In that case,
Okay.
back to plan A.
In that case, what's our next target?
Right there.
Just, I mean, well, that's
I think
Oh.
any of them at this point.
We got the really bad two.
yeah.
The two that we've been damaging, we've got. I think red and orange also have a lot of damage on them.
Yeah, you can. Who is the most damaged?
At this point, the one that has suffered the most damage is orange.
Brown's dead. All black is
Which
dead.
is over here.
So can I move a little bit and then set my bow and shoot the orange one?
Yes, but you'd have to drop Kusanagi to the ground.
Can I just use the bonus action to retract everything?
Well, then you can't set the bow.
That's true. Dang. Okay. Second bow. No, I wouldn't go.
Yeah, don't drop it.
Okay. I will move a little bit though.
Did you get 5 hit points back at the
I
start
did.
of your turn?
I did. And then I'll do my last attack on this one. And that is a 32 to hit.
Hits.
I will use a maneuver and I'll use goading attack.
Which color is that one?
That is
Green.
the R.
Blue. Actually, I think it's blue.
Blue.
I don't know if you wrote
Because
down the
green
letters,
is down
but it's
here.
I
Yeah.
didn't write down the letters.
Why didn't you write the letters of the color on them?
Yeah, let's blue.
because I wanted to spell antihero. Well, I didn't know what colors they were either. He didn't tell me. He said, do a marking on each one with one different color each. That's all the instruction I got.
Okay.
So,
It's like you should have put a G on that one.
So
and
what
a
was the
B on
damage
that
to?
one.
oh, I didn't do damage yet. He has to make a wisdom saving throw. Yeah, DC 20 wisdom saving throw.
Would you believe? At advantage, roll a 24.
Oof.
Yes, I would believe that.
I would believe it too.
Believe it too.
That's a 21 damage to the blue. Then in that case, I will use my bonus action. That's on top of you.
Yeah,
right?
that doesn't.
Okay. So I will use my bonus action to do second one, and that will be all of my turn.
Okay.
So much
Orin will take a legendary action, since he's got one. And he points his staff sort of diagonal in the direction towards the back of the room.
Oh, so like this one.
Yep. And it looks to me like he can line up a lightning bolt, so he's going to cast one.
Nice.
Would you guys roll for me, since I don't want to roll them? I don't have that many sixes. 8d6.
I got it.
Okay.
Maybe I should have let you. It's not a lot. Okay. That's 10. 23.
23. Okay. The lightning bolt launches out across the room, and when it strikes the purple head, it seems to sort of just glance off of it, but then it collides with the yellow head, and that head is going to take some damage based on its save, which it passes. So it will take half of that. How much was it?
23.
23.
Oh,
Or 11.
But the lightning clashes into that head and does some damage. Then it is Thaddeus' turn.
All right. Roll my.
When does
roll
the
my
healing
HP.
spirit?
Oh, yeah,
Is
yeah.
that on top of his turn?
Let me help you with
Does
this.
that mean he gets his 5 HP as well, or
What
not?
is that?
4.
No.
No. Okay. All right. So I get 4 back. I'm up at least.
Yep.
And I'm gonna spend my turn casting, not casting, but using lay on hands on myself for 75 HP.
Okay.
75.
Wow.
Wow.
And then I'm gonna drink my potion, my bonus action, which is.
It's a greater, right? So
It's a greater 44.
44 plus.
44.
Oh, that's really good.
That's really good.
Hey, my D4s rolled high.
That's 14, I think. No,
Plus-
18. Yes. So Thaddeus is back in the fight,
Nice.
Perfect.
but that's all he's got for this turn.
Okay. At the
Actually, am I in range of this head?
it is looks like it's about 5-10 feet away.
It's hard to tell.
I can't tell yet.
What about the one that's right in front of you?
I'm trying to figure out if I can go around this one.
Oh yeah, you could. Well, it has range. It has reach.
Okay, I'm not going to do that.
So, so that's it for you.
Mhm.
End of your turn.
Orin's gonna pass.
No, that yellowhead that is the only one threatening Harmony right now is going to open up its maw, and when it does so, actually, which head is that? That's the yellow one.
Yeah, it's yellow.
Mm-hmm. When it opens up its maw, what do you see?
Teeth.
I can't remember what the yellow one is. Oh, this one doesn't open up its maw at all.
Oh, closes again.
Yep, just keeps it closed.
I don't. That one is an open mouth one
Yeah,
too,
it
isn't it?
Its head just kind of begins to vibrate a little bit back and forth, and there is a shockwave pulse that goes out from it in a 30-foot radius. So it's going to get Harmony.
I think it's good.
30. Yep, that's it. And I need you to make an intelligence saving throw.
Cool.
Come on, Harmony, you're so smart.
No.
I'm gonna use Tides of Chaos on that
That's
shit.
a good call.
That's a good one.
It's not that much better. That's an 8.
Uh-oh.
8 total?
Yeah.
Okay, yep. So, has no surprise to anyone, that's not going to do it. So you take 28 psychic damage.
Don't. Exactly 28
Exactly.
again?
Is that what you have?
That's exactly what I have.
Do you want me to roll the damage instead?
Yes.
I've just been taking average. But since it's critical, I'll...
Exactly 28. It was like the last time you knocked me out, it was exactly
It was
22.
exactly like it. And you gained 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you believe, when I rolled it, I did 27.
Oh my god. Thank you.
So you feel that splitting headache in your head that's very familiar from when you were fighting Core, and a little bit of a nosebleed begins to form on your nose.
Whew.
And And then on a failed save, you are also blinded until the end of your next turn.
So that's bad.
And you just feel like all sight will go from your eyes. It just becomes like fuzzy and gray and you can't see anything. Then it is Orin's turn. Oh, and he's going to do something fun. What can he do?
He has legendary actions.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just
Leg
playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons with myself.
He has leg actions.
It's like
That's how she abbreviated it.
Or he didn't skip leg day.
Orin doesn't want to cone of cold you guys, but I think he can get the other two.
I mean, he can probably get all
He
three
can
of
move a
these.
little bit. They don't want to hit him for some reason.
Yeah, he can get all three of them. So he's going to cast Cone of Cold on them.
what?
Cone of Cold. So he holds up his staff and a
It's like a
big
snow cone.
blistering, it's exactly like a snow cone. A big blistering wave of ice and sleet flies out of his staff. And they need to make Constitution saving throws. And would you guys roll for me while I'm making these saving
Sure.
throws? 8d8 cold damage.
Okay.
I think you've got all the
That's,
D8s.
I've
Oh,
got
take it,
eight,
yeah.
I got 8 cold D8s.
Damn it.
They're well practiced.
Nah, not great though.
Let's see if DC is.
Should let me do it. Well, I got puppy.
And then hold on to your number while I'm making this.
31,
It's close.
That's just how loud he's been all day.
Could go average.
How much was it?
32.
It's not bad.
32.
And this is purple, yellow. The blistering cold flies out through the room in this massive cone, engulfing those three heads. The blue one seems completely unaffected by it, but the other two, though they seem hardy enough to succeed their save, will take 16 points of damage.
Yeah.
Yep.
I already forgot. It was purple and yellow.
Yeah, purple and one.
The blue stays blue.
Okay, that is the end of Orin's turn. Then it's Harmony with 1 hit point.
Yeah, so bonus
Regenerate
action
is-
healing potion, which is also a greater. Which is
So you've got one.
I've got
You've got
tons, so thank you. It's 44 plus how many?
4.
Okay, that's easy, I guess.
It's a reverse magic missile.
And they rolled poorly for me. 5, 6, 7 plus 4, so
Oh, you get 5 though.
12
From-
and then 5, so 17. Cool. And I'm blinded, so but I know where that yellow head was. So
Mhm.
can I just cast Sunbeam in that direction blindly?
I mean, yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, it's a Constitution save.
It's whatever you're bad at.
That's Dex.
Yeah, it's Constitution.
It's a natural 20.
Well, it's still gonna take half damage.
At advantage, I rolled a 19 and a 20 on dice.
Stop that.
Stop.
Well, I'm glad you're wasting your roll. It's not an advantage roll.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so that would be 10, 21, 27.
27. Okay, so halved to 13.
Okay. Radiant damage
And this is on the
Yellow.
on the yellow thing. And then and those rocks are floating. We've established they're not covered, they're floating.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna back up 5 feet and pray.
Okay, yep, as your vision returns to you, as you back up against the wall of this room, you see a massive tail swooshing towards you.
You're a fucker. Leave me
And you
alone.
just hear Orochi say, "You need to go down."
Yeah. You can
That
try.
is 29 for 26 points of damage. Then it is Byaku's turn.
Can you knock me over, please?
Yes.
Gecko will.
Daddy, I kind of need you right now.
I think
Or Mara, I
might
kind of
be
need
able
you
to
right now.
Get to first.
If you're gonna let me do the thing that we've been talking
Let's see.
about. Where are you? That was a waste of
Over
a
there.
greater healing potion.
Mara is not going to get there though. She's haste debuffed or whatever, right?
Oh, you're right.
Well,
And I can cast fly.
You can't do anything on this turn.
She can use her free action.
That's true.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go
So
for it.
let's
That's
see.
what I was talking about.
Okay.
I'm not talking about her flying over to give me a potion.
Oh.
Yes, yes,
I'm
yes.
talking about her summoning someone that
guess-
can help all of us.
Yes,
Yako
yes.
will attack. I don't know if there's really any priority at this point. Should we just focus on one though?
Just focus on one at
Yeah.
a time. Get them all down.
Okay. We'll look at this one. Do an attack on the blue one.
Okay.
Come on, Yako.
Hit once, Yako, please. That's probably not going to hit either, actually. That's a 21.
21 does not quite hit.
I'm
Yako's
so
just
mad.
scrabbling at this
Wow.
thing but can't find
He's
purchase.
trying so hard.
So mad.
And I think that's all he can do. He doesn't have bonus action to do anything.
Okay. Then that's the end of his turn, so Orin will do something. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna keep playing with myself here.
Go ahead. I just finished laying hands on myself, so it's all good.
Oh shit!
What?
The sunbeam did double damage.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
So give that motherfucker 13 more points
I will.
Wait,
It
what?
was
Okay,
the
so it's
because of my
not-
wild magic surge from the
so
end of
it's
the last
actually-
episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So it's
So
It was
27. So it would have done double that,
54.
54, and
So
then
it's
half of
27.
that.
So 27.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it can't
add another 14 hit points to that.
I've got it.
Motherfucker.
When
I
it
need to
comes-
keep track of that too.
When it comes back to you,
That was 54 total for
that's
me.
what I'm wondering. Do
Yeah,
you take back what you dealt or what it took?
I will read the thing again, but I think it's what I dealt.
I guess that's what I'm confused about.
It is what you deal. So we'll just say 27 for that.
Okay.
Since it.
Yeah, that's what it took.
27?
Gosh, what is Orin even able to do? He's just going to reach out to the one that is in front of him.
Purple.
And he's gonna, well,
You better not shocking grasp that one.
yeah, he
Can't
knows
remember
that
which
won't
number
work.
it was.
He'll just magic missile that one.
He doesn't have any other spells.
Oh, it was nice, wasn't it?
We kind of counterspell.
He
a
can
lot of
lightning
his
bolt it
spell
again.
slots.
Can you lightning bolt a different one? He can probably hit these two.
Stop
right?
trying to backseat drive for other people.
Oh, sorry.
He's
That's
not even
true,
on
though.
he's not even part of our team. You can't tell him what to do.
He's just going to Ray of Frost at disadvantage, the one ahead in front of him.
Okay.
Up 2 17s on dice, he's gonna hit.
It's better than Byakko.
Why are we not wanting him to shocking grasp?
Because it's immune.
It's
Oh,
lightning.
okay.
You get damage equal to the amount you dealt, which is ambiguous.
So
Yeah,
you
I would say
decided
27.
on Ray of Frost.
Yes. Poor mom. Having it hurts.
I have it available just for him.
And that's the purple head.
I like how she has like a combat log going.
Okay.
I like it because when
Yeah.
I look back through it, I know what happens.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Then-
wow.
It's Orochi's turn.
How much
Okay.
damage did you do?
Oh, did I not tell you?
He did not go.
It was 14. For your log. On Orochi's turn. Oh, gonna bite at Thaddeus.
Okay.
And then make 2 tail attacks against Hunter. So here comes the bite at Thaddeus, natural 20. And then the 2 tail attacks against Hunter, natural 20, and
You didn't roll it. You just picked it up and dropped it.
I rolled
I
it.
didn't even hear it spin. I did not even hear it spin. It just went thud.
Yeah, I don't know.
and then a 24, so both hits on Hunter.
Mm-hmm. Alright, well, incoming.
Man.
So that's 21. Roll that again. plus 12. 59 points of slashing damage.
For me?
Yep.
Okay.
And then that's 7 plus 15 points of the one that's next to you is orange, so acid damage. And then Hunter, the tail attack against you. Natural 20s are the only thing I have to roll. It's the worst. 9. So that's 19 plus 4. 23 plus 32 plus 8. So 40 points of bludgeoning on the natural 20.
Okay.
And then 26 points of bludgeoning on the regular hit.
Okay.
That's the end of Orochi's turn. Did Thaddeus stay up?
Yeah, I'm up.
Then it is Mara's turn. Mara, you are in a lethargic state and can't do anything. You just have to kind of
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
regain your energy for a turn, but you do have the mental willpower to reach out to Genbu.
Did you ever turn that cam on, by the way?
No. Genbu, I need your help again. I want to summon a princess!
One princess coming up, man! And Dawn appears. What is her range for this? Any creatures?
Please put her somewhere where she can reach me. Otherwise, what the fuck is it called?
She appears next to Mara. And then
I go before you, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of right.
is she within 60 feet of Harmony?
No.
No, because this board is
Can
50
she
feet.
move? Can the spirits move as part of their turn?
I'll say yes. They haven't had to at this point, but I say yes. So she can go 30.
Yeah, then she's 60 feet away.
Okay. She will do a level 5 healing word.
Alright.
Alright.
I think that's the best healing spell she can use on board.
Wow.
Yep.
I'll take it.
Well, that's princess
She
treatment.
rolled 2 4s on the first 2.
She royally saved your butt.
8, 14, and then she adds her wisdom modifier to it, I believe. So that is 21 points of healing to you.
Thank you.
Cool.
So she appears next to Mara and kind of looks around for direction, and she says, "Thaddeus, what should I do?"
There!
And she dashes off across the stone platform. And as she's running, she's already beginning to fade from her spiritual form. But she gets to just close enough to Harmony that she can utter a quick prayer to the god Pelor, and a beam of sunlight falls on Harmony, and you feel life enter your veins again.
Thank you.
And then, Mara, at the end of your turn, I think you feel
Oh,
energy return to you.
Okay, but do I also not get the 5 since I was looking?
Oh, you can get
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can
yeah, yeah.
There it is. Good memory.
Hunter.
Healing.
That's what the first thing I should do.
Are you running away?
Me?
What are you doing? Yeah, where are you going? Are you
I'm
moving?
probably going to try and get up on the platform with y'all.
So I'm gonna move this guy on me.
Okay.
And then maybe back off if I have enough. So
Will
I'm
it
gonna
come
do
in reach?
6, 7, 8, 9, and then I can move it back 10. Right?
If it's 60 feet, then
I
yes.
think it's 60 feet. Paper.
I can go up to you.
It's 6 feet. Oh, I don't actually. It's in Xanthar, so it didn't. Yeah.
I've got it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Just think about what you want to do with the
Yeah.
rest of your
So I want to. So the big crystal in the room is containing my 2 family members, right?
turn. You can move it 30 feet on your turn.
Okay, so I'll move it half of that then. Can I move to Mara? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll move it on top of Mara. So in your next turn you'll get that. And hopefully you can run through it if you want to. I'll do it next time. And then, yeah, can I slash at the crystal and try and like break it
Yeah, if you want to.
and free them maybe? See if I can get anything like that. So, I don't know what I need to hit, but it's a 30.
That will hit.
Okay, and is it an object?
Yep.
So maximum damage,
Which is?
18.
Okay. As you stab into it with the sword, you kind of slash into it, you can see a fragment splinter upward,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still intact.
Is it like noticeable damage? Like if I keep slashing this way, I think I can break through and free them
Yeah,
maybe?
probably.
Yeah, we'll go for that. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. That's a 27 to hit.
Okay,
Good.
that'll do it. Yep.
Okay, so it's another 18. And then
The cracks spider web
that's
some
another
more.
hit, so it's another 18.
42. And yeah, with that, it
56.
shatters, and you watch as the bodies of your mother and sister, who don't seem to have like even aged a day since you last saw them, sort of with the shattering crystals, fall to the stone platform floor.
Okay. Can I spend a little bit of movement to like run up to them and like check them, or like just like be next to them? I don't know where
yeah,
they
you
are,
can get
so-
next to them. I mean, they'd be right in the middle
Right
there.
here. Okay, so I'll spend maybe 5 feet or whatever.
You don't need to put them on the map.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So medical check.
well, if he allows
That
me
would
to
take
like
an action.
look at them or not.
Oh,
No.
I see.
Okay, then that's all I can do.
Okay. And then at the end of your turn, which heads does it have left? Which head's next to you? The blue
There's-
head.
The blue one. Just grunting.
It'll just make a tail attack against you, Hunter.
Oh, I forgot.
That's 35.
To hit.
So 26 points of bludgeoning damage.
Should I have Byakko use his reaction and to attack on my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot.
That's something that I should have been asking about too. I know that like I have. No, go for it. I mean, this is a momentous occasion.
Yakko's claws finally land on this thing,
Get him, Byakko!
and you can see this look of shock across his eyes.
15 damage
Okay, and that's
That'd be
the.
funny if that was the killing blow.
on the blue one. Oh man, so now Byakko's on the board.
Did you take Mara's trophy for yourself?
This was my trophy.
He did the final damage.
Damn.
Final blow.
It's like how Oren got the
What were you
brownie.
gonna say, Nick?
Oh, I was gonna. I lost my train of thought.
You were gonna do something with reactions or something?
Yeah. My like vow of vengeance is on him. Does that? I'm assuming that means I can get advantage on any hit I hit, but I'm less clear on whether it means I can use my reaction to attack heads when another head attacks.
Oh, I think it would have to be the head next
Yeah,
to
that's
you
what
for
I
that.
think too. Okay.
But definitely, you can have your advantage on every hit.
Okay.
I know that's a little weird.
No, it makes sense.
Then it is your turn, Thaddeus.
Okay. Thaddeus is going to use his last level 2 slot. To come right up here and do the healing spirit.
Oh yeah!
Oh yeah!
6!
Yes!
And you get 5 from your... Yeah.
2 slots.
So that's me too. Right?
No,
No.
not until
No.
the start of your turn.
Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, he has to roll
He
again.
has to roll it. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the start of your turn.
Okay.
Patience. Patience.
How fucking-
What was your last level 2 slot used for?
Misty Step.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
6. And move there. And then I can cast with my action Aura of Life.
Okay.
Okay.
So within 30 feet of me, every non-hostile creature has resistance to necrotic damage, your hit point max can't be reduced, and when you start returning your aura, you automatically regain 1 health.
1 hit point.
1 hit point, yeah.
Cool.
Anything else on Thaddeus' turn?
I used everything.
Okay. The Eight-Headed Serpent hisses and says, "Now, none of that." And one of the tails comes swinging Thaddeus' way.
Okay, which way? Which one?
Just a
tail.
tail. Yeah. That is 29 to hit.
Okay.
So that's 26 points of bludgeoning damage.
That's pretty when you can't even use shield, right?
I know. I have an effective 25 AC and everything still hits me.
Orochi has a high bonus to hit.
Yeah.
Orin will take a legendary action at the same time because his turn's coming up.
Okay, good.
What can he even do? He will throw an ice knife. So he conjures this like dagger of ice and with his staff hurls it at the yellowhead.
In the morning.
What's his bonus? Plus 12. And it clatters against the scales of Orochi, unfortunately. So there's the first one. But then it is his turn proper. And he will... High level slots does he have left? He's got an 8th level slot.
8th level slot all day.
Yeah.
I think he will Finger of Death at 8th level.
Okay.
The one that is right in front of him.
Okay.
Yeah. Do it.
Oh, that doesn't actually add any damage. Well, he's going to do it anyways. So do you guys want to roll for me 78 again, plus 30, against the purple head?
Sure. Not through the D8.
Oh, this is so bad. Oh, I'm gonna roll it
That's the
back.
kind of night we're having.
And then,
Can we just take average damage?
so that's 10. Oh, yeah, 4 out of 10. And then 22.
Okay. With the plus 30?
So,
So
that's
22 plus 30.
Oh, okay, that's
So
52.
that's better.
So it succeeded its save, so it'll take 26.
26. Yeah.
I really need my calculator for this. Oops. And that's the purple head. Okay, that is Orin's turn. And as he casts the spell and it kind of collides with this purple lightning-breathing head, you can see that all of the heads sort of are beginning to look very ragged. Like, just the body of Orochi in places is starting to discorporate a bit. Like, it is almost as if it is like fading into pure spirit energy. Like, parts of it are see-through at this point.
Okay.
And it is Harmony's turn.
Good.
Oh, here it
Here it
comes.
goes.
Oh no! Here he comes.
I'm very angry right now. I've been knocked down so many
Can
times.
you use this many?
But I'm gonna stay laying down
Are you?
and playing dead.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna spell this?
I'm gonna spell this
Ooh.
because I don't want them to know that I'm alive still. And I'm going to cast Wish to cast Illusory Dragon.
Oh boy! Here, you want a dragon?
Yes!
Whoa!
Is this a huge dragon?
It's technically gargantuan, but put it on there.
Okay. So 120 feet, I can have it
Basically
basically
anywhere.
show up right here.
So where's the best to
Well, I can move it up to 60
Oh.
feet as a bonus action on my turn. It's a red dragon,
question.
Okay.
fire dragon.
With its attack, can you choose which creatures in the cone are affected?
Yes.
So if you put it like here, you can
Well,
like
no,
throw
it will affect all the creatures in the cone, so I have to make sure you
Oh,
guys
yeah,
aren't
You
in
do
there.
have to. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm
There.
basically gonna have it appear here, where everyone can see it,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the enemies need to make some kind of a save or they're frightened. And I will look up what kind of save that
Orochi is
is.
immune to frightened.
Okay, well, fuck you. Then I'm gonna move it as a bonus action here, and it's going to do a 60-foot cone there
Okay.
of fire breath. And that's another saving throw.
What sort of save is it?
It's, I think, that one is
Anti-spirit
intelligence saving throw.
I'm trying to look at the spell. There's just a lot of text.
It's a
Each
lot of
creature in
it's
the
in
cone
a,
must
it's,
make an intelligence saving throw. Yeah,
I just said that.
I was just
I'm looking
confirming.
at it right here,
Just
Ethan. I've got it open. Don't
Just
worry.
confirming. Don't get mad at me.
Why would I lie to you? 2, 4, 6, 7, 76.
So it's 23 on the dice for the first head, but I need to make it for 3, don't I?
Yeah. Did you say 23 on die?
Or not
What
on
kind of roll
dice.
is die?
Total, not on
Things
dice.
are becoming more
My bad.
So this
precarious
is
all of a
fire
sudden.
damage, so this is a 2.
It failed 2 of its saves, but it will burn
Especially
legendary resistances to succeed on all.
So which 2 heads burned resistances?
He does have a
Well,
pretty
actually, I
pretty
need to
yelp.
check one thing.
This is on that.
Oh, it deals
Half
fire
damage.
damage.
It's
though.
fire damage, which is my elemental adept. So
The
it's
red head doesn't even have to make a save.
it's
because
ignoring
immune.
resistance, though.
But it's immune.
Immune deals
I
down
thought
to
we were
resist,
doing
right?
something about that. We never talked about that.
Right. Well, I can tell you what it is. Because of your infernal heritage and your elemental adept feat, you can, when something is immune to fire, take damage in hit points equal to the spell. So in this case,
Take damage.
yep,
Who
9.
thought of that? That's dumb.
Me. I
Yeah,
thought of that. That's
that's
the way it
dumb.
works. You can
That's
take 9
dumb.
damage and make it resistance instead.
I'm not gonna do it because I'm almost dead.
Okay.
That's stupid. If I had known about
I
that
mean,
rule, I would.
it's hellfire. There's a
Yeah.
cost.
Okay, well, fuck the redhead then. And the other 2, which one burned resistances? That was my question.
The second one.
The green one?
Yep.
And the first one just succeeded.
But they still take half.
And this is doubled. Because it's my
Yeah, so I'll just
my
take
green.
full, whatever it is.
So, well, I'm gonna calculate it and then double it and then you can figure your shit out.
Okay.
From there. I'm angry.
We know!
It shows.
It's funny.
It's fiery.
Also, did you deal...
46?
Yeah.
No. 46 fire damage total.
Okay.
Because that sounds more impressive than 23.
It does.
Fuck everything.
You heal for 5 though?
I have not done that yet.
And it was the orange head and the
And the green
green head.
Also, Tides of Chaos goes.
Yeah, that's right.
But, oh, you're not married.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it into
I took my 5 hit points. Thank you
Great.
for reminding me.
You're welcome.
Okay. Wow, I rolled the exact same thing twice
1 percentile dice.
on percentile dice.
Wow!
That's incredible.
So this is what happens. 53.
That's really...
That's cool.
Oh boy.
Am
Okay.
I rolling for this or are
Yeah,
you?
why don't you?
Okay. Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
2.
2. Okay, so if it is odd. So there's almost no visible change in harmony. I don't know. What would they see, Kay?
I mean, I don't.
Probably nothing.
I
really.
feel
We're
like-
all kind of busy.
I
Yeah.
feel like nobody would notice.
Harmony just gets a little older.
I just aged 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Okay. That spell
Um,
really took it out of you.
But I'm basically laying there. I use my bonus action. I use my action, and I am playing dead.
Okay.
You now need reading glasses.
I'm only 22.
What does subtle spell do?
It basically makes it so I don't have to use any verbal or somatic components when I cast a spell. So basically,
Oh, I see.
this one would have been a vocal, but I could cast it without anything. So I can just lay there and pretend to be dead and cast it, and nobody would know any different. Which is what I did.
The end of your turn.
Oh, no.
That's only 30, though. That's no good. This one goes this way. It's
You guys need to get out from the middle of those dragons so I can get a bigger cone.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get to you.
all right. Yep. Yellowhead it is. I need Hunter, Thaddeus, and Harmony to make intelligence saving throws.
Oh. Oh,
But
no.
I'm playing dead.
You're still in the radius, though.
Of what?
The Yellowhead's psychic pulse.
Oh crap.
Not me.
Nope. You're outside of it.
Oh, I'm gonna go down again.
So am I. I'm gonna Tides of Chaos again. Because why?
The spell I cast didn't even do anything.
Well, it depends on how much damage it does.
I don't have that much
It's
HP.
probably still not gonna cut it.
Let's say
I'll roll the damage.
17.
Yeah, mine's 17 as
Yeah,
well.
I think we all failed.
Okay. Well, I will roll the damage to see how much it is. Pretty low so far.
I'm very angry.
I'm rolling the wrong dice.
Just wanna have. This is like the last episode of Dungeon World. Just wanna have my freaking badass moment.
32 points of psychic damage.
Oh
I'm down.
crap.
I'm down.
Well, that was a waste of a wish. Dragon's gone.
You did a ton of damage to it.
I
Don't
didn't
give me
though.
that. You did.
I didn't though.
You
Not
did.
with the dragon.
Attacking.
Attacking it at a head that's immune.
Thaddeus goes down as well.
Saving throws.
No more R of life.
No.
Byako's turn.
Wait,
And I didn't even get to get my 1 HP.
Wasn't so? Our life is.
And
you
Hunter, you're
can't
still
lose
up?
your.
Oh,
No,
You're also blinded.
blinded.
Yeah, if you at the start of your turn, if you're at 0, you get 1 HP back. But now, because I'm down.
Oh, because you're down. Oh, I
it's
see.
Oh,
Okay.
I see.
Gecko's turn.
Yeah. Mhm.
Byakko cannot use items. We said right.
Right.
Okay. So he can't like resurrect anybody. Well, I guess I'll just make an attack.
Oh, yeah.
Byakko, go.
For that, sorry. For the dragon breath thing,
Mm-hmm.
do I count each hit as damage that I dealt?
Just count it once for you.
So is that the full or the half?
The damage dealt, so we'll say half. Because they
Even
made
though
their
I
save.
hit 2 hit
Yeah, yeah.
heads. So that was, what was my damage? 23?
On the
Yep, it was 46 down to 23, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
Not that
Roll
it's gonna
a-
matter because whatever this isn't gonna kill me, but.
Roll 25 to hit,
That hits.
and then 14 damage.
And that's on which end?
That is on the blue one.
Maybe Mara and
You guys all have good
Hunter,
berries
can
too.
pull it out.
I mean, we'll try. I can't see anything, so I don't know what
Wait,
to
are you
do.
blind?
Yeah, I got blinded. He said.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yep.
anyone who failed that too.
Oh.
Yeah, it's bad. I don't know where anyone is.
It's okay. I have a plan if I can get out of it for my next turn.
Orochi's turn. It's going to. How close is Mara to one of these heads?
20 feet. No, less than that.
15, so within. It's going to bite at Mara. Which head is that?
Blue.
Doesn't have damage. 19. Does that get you?
Yes.
Okay, I thought it was going to dodge.
Then look, if I was full 5.
You would take 30 points of slashing and 7 of cold, but you can uncanny dodge that if you wish.
Mm-hmm.
So that would go down to 18 total.
Yeah, because I'm not stuck, right?
No.
So that's 18 points of damage total.
Better uncanny dodge it.
Yeah.
And then it will take 2 tail attacks against Hunter.
Oh boy.
Natural 20.
Yeah.
And only a 3 on the dice, so 19.
Another natural 20.
Hey, that's the first miss I think he's had.
How much 19?
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, his attack bonus is so high.
And then natural 20. And a
Uh,
natural 20. You hit her twice.
Okay. Reading here.
54 points of bludgeoning damage with the tail. That crit.
Oh, that was really close. Okay.
Oh no.
Then it is Mara's turn.
Oh man, things are looking dicey. We've gone through all of my hit points at this point.
Mara, at this point, you can see that.
You're in the healing
She gets
spirit.
the healing spirit.
Oh,
Yes.
and you get
And
5.
plus 5.
Oh, 10 total.
You can see that Thaddeus is down on the ground. Harmony is either faking dead or actually dead.
I'm actually unconscious.
Hunter is looking ragged, and Orin is starting to look at the condition of the room and look towards the portal that the rest of you came through. Hunter's healing spirit comes over to you and gives you a little bit of health. It's your turn. What would you like to do?
Okay, so that's the blue one.
Yeah.
So I am going to. So I'm gonna attack the blue one.
Are we going to run over to it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, no. I'll stay by that healing thing,
Okay.
and
I'm gonna move it
throw.
again, so it's not gonna be there much longer.
Well, it doesn't really matter. Well, I'll go up because then I can do my second. So yeah, I
Yeah.
will move next to it. All right. Come on.
Do you want to summon anyone first? Or do you want to...
I want to wait and do it
You
after.
want to wait and do it at the end? Okay.
I can only do that in one. Okay, that is going to be a 16.
16 doesn't quite hit.
All right,
So you
so
whip around the other dagger.
Yeah.
Don't forget you get an... Oh, wait, you're not hasted.
I can't do that. Okay, so that is a 20.
20 doesn't quite do it either.
Whoa.
Dagger scrapes against it.
Okay, so I think I'm going to summon a blessed sorcerer. Maybe you can help. me.
Okay.
Hey, but you know what else you can... Well, you just used your bonus action, so never mind.
Eli will appear right here next to
I'm
Mara.
gonna give him an attack.
Uh,
Well, but we'll see what Eli does.
Okay.
You might move the healing spirit to me.
I will
Yeah.
move the Holy Spirit.
I did think about good berries too. But
I should have
You
been
could have
great
done
berries
one
by
attack
now.
and then good berry,
Eli
right? No, it's an action.
Eli's spirit appears next to Mara, and he kind of looks around, and you can see Mara. His eyes go wide, and he looks at you and says, "How did this happen? Just leave it to me." And he runs forward towards the edge of the platform, where he can see both Harmony and Thaddeus, and he is going to twin spell 5th level Cure Wounds Thaddeus and Harmony.
Yay!
So both of you will regain hit points. 7, 13, 20 points of health back to both of you. And as he is fading away, Harmony, you come to conscious quick enough to see Eli looking at you from the platform and mouthing, though his form is fading too fast for the words to actually get out, but he's mouthing the words, "Good luck," in your direction.
Aww,
Hunter.
that should cheer you up.
I'm gonna heal for 5. Because I need it so bad.
Oh yeah, we all do.
I guess I
Yeah.
guess I can use the
So
supreme
fast.
healing potion at this point. I need it. Unless I should give it to someone else, but I don't know.
But that supreme healing potion only does like half to you, right?
Yeah, I don't know why I was holding it. Why we like
Well, because you're the one that gets people up.
yeah, I guess
That's
so.
why.
But I'm not really. I mean, everyone's up right now, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's fine. I guess I won't use it yet.
No. Save
Okay,
it just in case
Here we
someone
go.
else goes down.
we're going for it.
Go for
So I'm blind, so I can't do that anyways. But I will move the healing spirit to me then. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, you just kind of mentally call it to you.
Yes, and then
And then you
1,
get healed
2,
by
3.
it.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll work.
I guess. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I'm gonna heal myself for 4. Oops, that's backwards. That's adding damage. Ooh, feeling spirit why? And I guess I will make some swings because I can't check my family members at this point. I don't think.
Well, you could, but it would mean turning your back on the giant serpent.
Yeah,
head
that
is
would
staring
be
down.
that. Well, I mean, I was gonna like visually look at them
Oh, yeah.
for maybe part of my turn or whatever, but I'll just. Oh, I don't have advantage. I have just regular because I have advantage from that. So here we go. Let's give it a shot. That's not gonna hit. That's a 3.
Yeah, no, it's so bad.
Let's try it again. That's another 3.
Oh.
One more. That's a 9 on dice. So that's a might hit. That's a 23.
Not quite.
Oh! That's like.
Hey, but I can bend luck.
Yeah, do
Yeah,
that.
you can see it. So
I can bend luck.
Do you want to?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a 3.
So that's
26.
26.
So your sword is like
Guided
sliding
ever
against
so
the
slightly.
scales. It's sliding against the scales, and there's like sparks flying, and you're just desperately trying to cleave into this thing,
Yeah.
and then you feel like a twitch, like out of your control, and the sword suddenly like carves into the thing.
All right, cool.
Roll your damage.
Here we go. Gosh, I don't think I can. Super spent right now. Okay, well, here we go.
Yeah,
That is, huh?
Do I have to
Find
close?
the
14 is 26.
26 points of damage.
Yeah.
My calculator.
Oh my gosh.
How does it look as you kill this thing?
Oh, I don't know. I'm blind.
That's right.
You blindly are sliding the sword along.
But I
and-
feel like what happens is like I'm like swinging, like clattering a couple hits, and then the third one, like with the wild magic that you're saying, it's ever so slightly guided to the point that I hit like a spot that was already sort of cleaved open, and like kind of the blade sort of swiftly cuts through.
Yep. And you can hear a howl of pain as Kusanagi's body scales are pierced for the first time in its existence. And Kusanagi slices through a bit of the neck, and that head falls to the ground. And I would like the rest of you to then describe your final actions as you help Hunter to finish this thing off.
Oh.
That is gonna get up and go swing at this guy.
No, swing at the purple head.
Okay, he's gonna help Orin swing at this guy.
Because I'm casting Disintegrate
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah.
yellow head
That's,
for hitting me twice
that's
with
all you.
the
So
motherfucking...
I'm gonna help Orin with this one.
Okay. So you leap up onto the other head and plunge the sword down into it. And at the same time, Orin basically just reaches up and does some sort of frost spell that collides with the thing. And
double frost.
you basically ride it down to the ground where it tumbles down dead. Harmony.
Yep, I'm casting Disintegrate at this yellow head.
Summon all of your magical
You get up
energy.
first. You just do it from where
I'm
you lie
gonna
down.
get up and I'm gonna say, alright, enough is enough. And I cast Disintegrate out of my amulet.
The purple and green ray of energy just bursts out
I
of
would
you.
love to roll just to see how much damage, because it's doubled.
Do it.
Yeah,
We
go
won't
for
count this towards your total, though.
Go for it.
We can, because I'm gonna be knocked down already just from
Sure.
one
Okay.
of my hits. How much does this Disintegrate do? Hold on. But yeah, that's what I do. You can describe it.
As the beam
Okay.
connects with the head, it just bursts into a plume of ashes that just rain down onto the ground.
It's just 2 ones.
What do you do?
20,
I can probably cast Haste again now because I can do it 3 times a day.
24.
So I can run over
43.
to is that the orange one?
This one.
There,
This
yeah.
one's orange.
So that's 88 damage.
Okay. Yeah, it just
Oh wait,
bursts
no,
into
the 40
ash.
is doubled. There's 24 plus 40, which is 44, which is doubled. 80. No, 64 doubled.
128.
That's how much it did.
Okay.
Jesus.
That's how much damage
That's
it
a
did.
lot.
128.
You killed Orochi in the next life too.
And
Like,
then Mara, your
Yeah,
final
so I go to
action.
the orange one and I
so
say
you casted haste though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
to get over there.
Mm-hmm.
Can she? Oh, because she can do it 3 times.
Oh, I have to do well, it doesn't really matter. I guess this is fine. And so since it's an orange one, I'm gonna say I have enough of you that I don't have scurvy. I don't need you.
Oh, there it is. Last
you plunge the dagger in and slash the other one, and the head goes flopping to the ground, dead.
All right.
And the room is still.
Nice. How? This is 10 feet off the ground?
Yep.
Yeah, that is gonna jump over and help this guy.
So what are the rules about doing enough damage to yourself
Let's
to
just
knock
try
you
to look that
below
up.
0
Oh, to kill you?
to kill you?
There's a yeah. There's
Do you
a
have to? Do you
It's
have
like your
to
hit
do
point
your
total.
max hit
Yeah.
points
It's twice your max hit points, I believe.
Is it twice or
past
just?
0?
I thought it was just your hit points, but I might be wrong.
Yeah.
This is actually very, very
Yeah.
much relevant right
So
now.
yeah,
You know, I was just thinking to myself in the car the other day how that rule becomes irrelevant after
if
a
you
certain
get down
level.
to negative twice your hit points, you're dead.
Okay, so
In like one hit, if that does.
yeah. I don't think this does it, but I'm just curious. I'd have to get to negative 186. And I just did 178 damage to myself. But I had 20 hit points.
Yeah.
So I would have been at negative 158-ish.
Okay.
When damage reduces you to 0 hit points and there is damage remaining, you die if the remaining damage equals or exceeds your hit point maximum.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought it was your hit point
Okay.
max.
Then I die.
Thaddeus stomps over.
But it doesn't happen for another minute. Or until the
okay.
minute's up.
Well,
So there's this,
whenever that happens.
There's
Stomp
like this
over.
quiet where we're all just like, did we just do it? And then Harmony just kind of
It bursts into flames.
Yeah, basically what happens is Harmony is still pulsing with this chaotic energy. If you recall, there were like flames and there was lightning and like all sorts of things just leaping off of her and changing substance as it like descended to the ground. And you can see that getting more and more chaotic. And Harmony, I think you sort of know what's coming.
and I'll say, well, if there was any way to go, this is gonna be it.
And then there is an explosion of energy just in Harmony's area. And when the light clears, Harmony is lying there on the ground.
Mark another 600 gold off our party tab.
Dang it, Harmony.
Yeah,
This is
that
an expensive
Thaddeus is
battle.
healing is casting Revivify first on the half elf with the shield,
Mhm.
and then on Harmony.
I'm gonna put revive.
Wait, you're gonna prioritize the half elf?
He was dead already. You
You
didn't die
know
until after
who-
he died.
That's true. You would have had to revive him before I
Yeah,
died.
yeah.
Okay.
You see
Okay.
that?
Do you have enough spell slots to cast it twice?
Show my
I was
mom
saving
funny
quite a few.
meme.
I didn't use very many spell slots. I didn't. In fact, apart from the end, I didn't attack once.
This line here.
What does it say?
Says revive, you know who.
Hey, he also spent money to revive the.
Oh, that
Yeah,
was
that was
double,
300
right?
twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I figured. Okay, and the other
As
guy,
this
okay.
semi-comical scene of Harmony just bursting into elemental damage, and Thaddeus stomping over to reluctantly save her and pulling out some diamonds plays out. The
So-
scene would pan across to where Hunter is examining the bodies of his family. Why don't you roll me a medicine check? real quick?
I might one hit
My
point
best
now.
check.
Yes, you
Are they spirits?
No.
Okay, good. Medicine. Okay.
I'll
That
give
is
you
a 11.
Wait, but my type
You want one or
cancer
two
roll,
medicine
but I
checks?
cast disintegrate.
Okay.
Sorry, what was it?
Did you want one for each person or
Just one.
I got an 11.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
You
enough.
have 10
You can
how
tell
much
that
light
they
damage.
are
Oh,
breathing.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
They are unconscious, but they do seem to be alive.
Can I feed them good berries?
Yeah, and as you sort of put a good berry gingerly in each of their mouths, they both sort of their eyes sort of flutter open, and they look up and they see you, and you can see like a little bit of like unrecognizing fear in their eyes
Yeah.
as they kind of scrabble back.
And then I like pull my bow out and be like, it's me.
And sort of first in the older woman, your mother's
And
eyes,
keen, yeah.
you see recognition dawn there, and then maybe a second or two later, you see
Oh yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm like still the like white tiger looking.
exactly. You're terrifying looking.
Yeah.
You see recognition cross the eyes of your sister as well.
Okay.
And your mother just says, Zant?
No, they nod.
And as she sort of moves towards you and puts a hand sort of on your, like gingerly on your warforged head, and your
Furry
sister
warforged
kind of
head.
comes up behind your mother, still a little wary, but kind of looks up at you. The scene that would be depicting this area kind of pulls back, and we see the group of you sometime later kind of injured, but having survived the battle, coming out of the tunnel that led to here. And you're sort of standing atop the mountain peak that is where Hunter's home, that's the wrong music, where Hunter's home has been before his entire adventure unfolded. And from your vantage point atop the mountain peak, you can see the black fog surrounding the Elderhaven Reaches, and you just slowly watch as the fog begins to dissipate and allow more and more sunlight to filter in as you stand at the top of the mountain on a fresh morning over the Elderhaven Reaches. And we're gonna pull back from there and talk about what happens in the aftermath.
Okay.
So I've asked the players to think about what their characters would want to do in the 5 years after accomplishing their final goal. Do any of you want to sort of take the first?
I need to think of something new now because I was going to try and dispel the black fog. So, and I've had some other stuff. So someone else can start now.
You want to go?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. So Mara takes her ship and gets a new crew. Almost anyone wants to follow me. And I'm going to return to Kamikami Island,
Which is still covered in slime.
Amazing.
where I bury a treasure chest with a special item in it. So then we sail back to a random port city where I have two of my favorite crew members go into one of the local pubs, and they're looking for a specific type of person, a kind of bored, rich nobleman. And so they pretend to get drunk, and they talk about this treasure and how they're going to hire Mara Stormwind because she's the best captain in the world. And a scuffle ensues, and they accidentally drop the treasure map. Wink, wink. So eventually,
I rolled a deception check for your crewmates, and it was a 16, plus whatever bonus they'd have. And then I rolled a wisdom check for the nobleman, and it was a 5. So,
so it goes along with the
this
story.
plan goes as
Going
intended.
swimmingly.
Okay, so the Baron comes down to the docks, hires me for an exorbitant fee,
Mhm.
take him to Kamikami Island. He brings along a couple of his cronies, by the way. They go to dig up the treasure chest. They find it, because it's an accurate map, you know, it's accurate. They open it up to find a toy stuffed parrot with the pinned note that says, "Ow!"
And Mara plays many such pranks throughout the rest of her time.
Amazing.
Would Harmony have, because I imagine she would have, enchanted this parrot so that it says it in a parrot's voice along with the note when they open the
If
chest?
she asks me to, yeah, I will.
Uh-oh.
It would be funny though if it's because
then
it's
it-
wild magic. Some kind of wild magic triggers every time it says "uh-oh."
It's never quite in a parrot's voice. It's always in like some weird thing's voice.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
When it happens, when it says "uh-oh," and the nobleman is like reeling in surprise as he looks back and sees Mara's ship sailing away. A group of creatures. So let's see how many.
No. Alright.
Race, bro.
6 spherical creatures appear in the sky around the treasure chest. Each of them having they would be more convincing in a dark environment, but you can tell they're sort of like massive fungi that kind of hover in the air and resemble these beholder creatures that you guys have seen in your travels before. But the nobleman, he freaks out and just goes diving into the water and trying to swim after the boat, shouting, "Mara, Stormwind!"
Come on, Pinky, let's go for a ride.
That was really good.
Have you thought of anything yet?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna try and convince. The first thing I try to do is try and convince Dawn that Gavin is bad news and she really needs to break off this engagement.
I'll help you
somehow.
with that.
So you sort of return to the capital city, which you find upon returning there that the Warforged, who are under the control of this sort of like combination between the technology of a control chip and the magic of Orochi's influence, have all sort of come to their senses, and they've all slowly but surely for some of them and more instantly for others begin to reclaim their old personalities and their memories.
So they were all built with the brain.
Yes.
Okay.
They all, once the control of Orochi and this control chip is lifted, they all seem to be regaining memories and sentience, which they didn't seem to have before. Very akin to Hunter. And so you enter into the capital in this sort of tense political situation where there's a lot of debate amongst the nobles for like what is to be done with all these Warforged who are suddenly in the city and are were part of an oppressive movement but are now regaining sentience and have no idea what they've been doing this past time. There's also talk about what to do with the ones who were involved in a war that was started on Adeas's borders. And that's how you sort of arrive back in the capital, and as part of that, that's when you start to talk to Dawn.
So I tell her, look, like, I never really mentioned this because it was kind of coming from, I didn't know how you take it coming from me, but Gavin is, he's not well. He's had influence over your parents. That's how this whole thing came to happen. He's been up behind the scenes trying to take power this whole time. He can't be your husband.
And Dawn, when you say that, you can tell that she thinks very deeply and seriously about what she says, what she wants to say back to you, and her response ultimately, after a moment or so of pause, is, "Look, Thaddeus, I think I've always known that to some extent. It's not like my betrothal to Gavin was because I have any sort of feelings for him. In fact, well, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's the opposite, but if everything you say is true, then certainly this shouldn't stand, but we're going to have to convince my parents. You know how the ways of nobility go. This much is out of my hands." And she kind of nods, and you can see there's like resolve in her eyes, and she says, "All right. It might be a difficult conversation, but I'm prepared to have it as long as you're there with me."
Okay.
And the two of you go to the King and Queen of Farendel, Queen Anastasia Elise and King Augustus Jerome, who have recently returned from Adeas after being sheltered there after the Warforged attack, and are sort of trying to pick up the pieces after this massive upheaval in the world. And you plead your case before them, and I need you to make a persuasion check at advantage.
Okay.
Because Dawn also lends her wisdom to the argument.
Oh, these are not great. 18 is the best I got.
Okay. King Augustus Jerome is a little bit unwilling to go back on a promise that he made to your father, Lucavus Hammerlock. But after hearing what you have to say about Gavin and
And like
Thinking
he's
over
dealing
deeply.
with Faye and like all the stuff that I know about what he's been up to with us, and not to mention, in the Feywild and all that.
And after taking some time to talk it over with the Queen, they return to you with a verdict, and Anastasia is the one who delivers the final word, which is that after careful consideration, they have decided together to dissolve the betrothal between Gavin and Dawn. And then, they deliver that news to you, and you can see as they deliver that news, Dawn sort of turns to you, and you can see sort of like the sparkle in her eyes, the excitement to be free of that burden.
Okay.
Anything else from Thaddeus?
He also spends a little while working on his romance novel.
Okay. So some time in careful study as you sort of return to the Hammerlock house, and you get frequent visits from Dawn since the Hammerlock estate now is within the capital as well. So you two see each other frequently. But you spend a lot of time working on the novel. Can you first make for me... I had an idea of how to work this. Well, I forgot one of my ideas, so we'll go back to your idea. Let's just make a performance check and see how your novel turns out.
Okay.
Performance, alright.
It's sort of a comic performance. That's an 8.
Some
8.
harsh critics.
The first draft, you think it turns out okay,
Mhm.
but who would you submit it to for review?
I mean, Gloriana's publisher.
Okay. Gloriana is actually self-published.
Oh.
Um,
Well, I don't know. Who
To
else?
us.
Yeah.
We give you 0 feedback. I don't know.
well, I mean, I would assume maybe Harmony sneaks into your pack and reads it one day.
No, you know who I have read it over for me is what's her name?
Gloria.
No.
The girl with the.
I would be too nervous to have
yeah,
Gloriana.
Serena.
read it.
Right,
Serena.
Serena, that's it.
Yeah,
There
so
you
you
go.
return to... what
Red.
city was she in?
She was next to the lake.
Yeah, West Shore.
Well, yeah.
West Shore.
You return to West Shore and the sort of fine romance cafe that is run by the girl Serena, who you remember.
Magic of the Heartlight, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
Magic of the Heartlight.
Yeah, nice.
And you have her read it over, and you can see, like, she provides you with like tea and things like that while she's reading through the first draft.
Mhm.
And she's a fast reader, so she gets through it pretty quickly. You can watch her just turning the pages. But as she turns each page, you can just see like she's kind of like biting her lip. And eventually, she works up the courage to tell you, before you show this to anyone else, you need to rework it. It's great. And don't get me wrong, I'd be happy to read another draft, but there's good stuff here. It just needs refinement. Maybe look to a seasoned author for some advice?
I'll think about it.
Maybe try some personal experience.
Yeah.
Thaddeus takes 10 emotional damage.
Spice it up with some personal experience.
Cutting words, you take 2 damage.
Oh no. Cutting words.
And the other thing that happens in Thaddeus's life is you end up seeing Gavin more and more, since you're both sort of back under the same roof again. So there's a little bit of conflict there because
Yeah, I bet.
in your heart, though he doesn't outwardly show it, you can. It's clear to you, at least in your mind, and you just get that sort of paladin sense that something is still amiss with him.
Is it like, because I feel like I would try to be friendlier to him.
Okay.
Especially because now we're like living under one roof again, and like I kind of want to, like, be an example for him, I guess, or at least spend more time with him, so he's like has somebody good to talk to.
A role model.
Sure.
Yeah,
Someone
Big brother.
besides his bottle.
yeah.
Roll a persuasion check.
This isn't much better. This is a 16.
16.
That is a plus 11 to persuasion, and it's just not been going great.
He has not been rolling well.
Gavin continues to remain sort of spiteful and distant from you to the best of his ability, but living under the same roof, that's difficult again. And sort of towards the end of the next couple, like maybe a year or so later, you begin to feel that he is opening up to you just a little bit, just the tiniest bit, but not enough that you can have any significant sway over him just yet.
What's the title of your book?
Oh, let's see. It was called Fall from Grace into Love, and my pen name was Thomas Mingling.
So good.
Also
amazing.
Grace into Love.
And over the next few years, what does Hunter do?
Okay, so Hunter gets very busy, like right away, trying to like rebuild the Elderhaven Reaches because there's so much physical damage and like there's a lot of people that have either been taken away or hurt or whatever.
As far as the Elderhaven Reaches goes, this becomes quickly apparent as you start to sort of travel around and begin to see the actual state of the country. The eyes and hands of the world were effectively the ruling government of the region. And as you begin to travel to other villages, you see what you couldn't have seen when you were on a focused mission, which is that a large portion of the original population of the land were, by magic and mechanical means, converted into Warforged and taken away.
Yeah.
And those that were left were essentially put into sort of lesser slave labor, where they had to, provide for the eyes and hands of the world, as well as themselves, but they in sort of forced labor for the most part.
So
the eyes and hands of the world that remain, those mages of the country who learn of Orochi and Orin's defeat and the dissolving of their organization, sort of go into hiding, but you find here and there pockets of groups of them and set to work
routing them out
and dealing judgment to them.
So
and it becomes quickly apparent to you that there were so many of them within the Elderhaven Reaches, despite the dwindling magic, because they were practicing ancient and forbidden types of Elderhaven Reaches magic, which involve rituals of blood, which is why Warforged were so convenient for them, because they could extract the brains and give those to Kuor and pour your memories in and have ultimate warriors from civilians, and then use their blood for their magic.
Yeah. So I don't know if this happens at the same time or if it's a separate thing, but I would also try and invoke Harmony's help a little bit. And if I realize that, when I realize that a lot of the village people and the inhabitants of the Elderhaven Reaches have been turned, like I was, then I would see if the wish spell or if there was any other magic that could change them back without actually like putting them to rest, if they're like completely controlled. So.
Well, none of them are completely controlled anymore. That's the thing.
Oh, so they're just like me then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And some of them regain their memories and personalities slower. Some of them regain them right away.
So at that point, I would ask.
Individual.
Yeah, at that point, I was. Can you return us to our bodies, me included?
Maybe. This is really powerful magic, and I don't really understand it all that well either, and it's risky.
Yeah, I know that you're not big into studying, but maybe we can get some information on that.
Yeah, I can look into it and see if it's possible.
If it's possible on a large or small scale. So
I could try it with just you.
Yeah, I mean, I would like that. So if we could try that.
Do you want me to try it right now?
If you think will work and not have too many adverse effects, then yes.
All right. Let me think about how to word this very carefully.
We've got a minute. We'll come back to that, because the other thing about traveling around the Elderhaven Reaches is that you realize without the eyes and hands of the world, spirits are coming back from
You're
the
taking
spirit
all my
realm.
thunder here. I know, yeah. Okay, keep going.
And also the people of the world have no government or organization.
You never think for me. All right, keep going, Ethan. Fine.
Nope, that is it.
You can tell me what I do.
That's the state of the Elder Hidden.
So I literally was writing down, like I thought about it when you told us to, and I had it in my head, and then I like wrote it down just now. But then I was saying that I was also trying to reestablish the damage connection with the spirits because I figured that they were all rampant, and I was also going to try once the reaches get back up into, I guess, a more habitable / friendly state or whatever, like a communal state with each other. I was going to try and potentially act as like an ambassador to Freydin. And that was hopefully after I wish my body back. Just kind of, but
Okay.
yeah.
So you sort of go to work trying to make connections with those spirits who are friendly and ward off those who are not, and then also simultaneously set up connections between different locations in the Elder Haven Reaches to try and get some semblance of order.
Yeah.
So that you can then act as an ambassador and get more help from Freydin. Okay.
Yeah, because I was gonna, before you said it dissipated, I was going to try and dispel the black fog. Was like step number 1 or
Yes.
2.
That's the other thing about those of you who return to other places of the world. is you begin to see spirits popping up elsewhere outside of the Elder Haven Reaches.
Oh, and then so maybe that would kind of work into being an ambassador, because then at that point I would be sort of like a, spiritual teacher person, and kind of can introduce the rest of the world to, what inhabits the inhabitants of the Elder Haven Reaches, and sort of like work that in as well.
Why don't you make for me
Oh god.
just a...
I know what it's going to be.
Well, we'll just
I have an
I'm
answer.
still struggling. I was going to say a wisdom check, but that doesn't
Oh,
seem
okay.
right.
That's better than what I thought you were going to have me make, like,
Charisma check?
charisma.
No. This seems like a lot of more like making practical decisions and things like that. So I'm just going to say a wisdom check, but you can add your proficiency.
This is wisdom for what?
Just sort of all of the efforts that you have, sort of setting up connections with the good spirits, and also like building a structure within the Elder Haven Reaches.
Do I get advantage because they're my favorite enemy?
Sure.
Okay. That's bad. That one's cocked.
I think so.
That's not any better. That is 16?
16? Okay. Yeah, putting together any sort of semblance of structure and order between spirits and humans is a difficult task for one person.
If I didn't have advantage, that would have been a 8.
Oh, that would be and while you sort of rally the people,
Yeah.
You're still split across the different islands, which makes it difficult to create a central order.
Sure.
So what you end up creating is based in Kanya, sort of not far from your original home village, a central location where people can come to seek safety from spirits and things like that.
Okay.
And you begin to create order there in a central location as opposed to across the entire
I figured
country.
that also, if I also make trips to, like, the capital, I would probably try and talk to Thaddeus and Don, kind of maybe catch up between these years of travel for passing bit. And I'd probably ask Thaddeus for some advice on, like, because I'm not very, like, people-facing, and I don't know anything about, like, government systems, really, and...
Yeah,
So I would like,
yeah.
yeah, and so I'd be like, Thaddeus, I'm really not good at these political things, and I'm trying to do, this and that and the other thing with the Elder Haven Reaches, and could really use some help here.
Yeah, I think like Thaddeus would want to. I think he's been already working to some extent to like make sure that the Warforged and Freydin have like a voice and aren't treated like second-class citizens.
Yeah, and to just from some people, they do get that sort of like discrimination, and there are like political groups and groups of people who try to expel them from Freydin, or when they don't want to leave, or will be prejudiced and like violent against them if given the opportunity, things like that. So your efforts in that regard are very, very helpful.
And when I see you, what are you?
Oh yeah, what am I?
Well,
Let's do Harmony's stuff first.
Well, hang on, I
just
have,
for
a,
personal
I have a
stuff.
little bit more,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Yep.
But that's fine, so we can figure that out. Also, to get back between to and fro, I figured that I might enroll the help of a certain captain of a ship. And on this ship, you know, I would definitely make an effort to, like, if she's willing to help me, you know, to have passageway and, you know, whatever the skills that obviously you have that I don't, help out with that. I would do my best to kind of like bring some gifts around from the region and kind of show you like, oh, this is this and this is this.
We can have a collection of books for a certain someone who likes.
Yeah,
to
so I
read.
would try and bring some like Elder Haven Reaches souvenirs and things. And I would if we do this several times, I would routinely put them in like big chests or boxes and kind of bring them on board, and then we would travel back, and then you know that would repeat. On one of the occasions, when I put something in the box, I'm actually going to call to the bag of holding and say animated books. What happens, Ethan?
Oh boy.
Remember
So in Helion's Tower,
those? Yeah.
for those who are watching, episode 56. No, I don't even know if it's that one.
They all fly out of the bag.
Okay,
and,
so if Orochi had any, like, I'm going to target randomly, I would be like, animated books! And, like, flocked them into the scene. But yeah, so I had this chest, and, like, I'm, like, waiting, and, like, we're, like, quietly on the ship and doing, like, what we normally do on, like, days of travel, and then, the morning that I'm leaving, I do this, like, animated books thing.
You just
and
hear
then
from the mask.
lock it. Yeah, and then I, like, lock it, and then I, like, say our goodbyes and stuff, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I put everything in the hold, Mara. Just, like, you know, and I put, yeah. And then I, like, walk off into the, you know, towards the capital and try and get past it that way on land.
I always have my belaying pin with me, you know.
Yeah. And there was, I think, 20 of them. So right when you open the chest, yeah, you are blocked with animated books.
And with your belaying pin, you take down a good number of them. They just become inanimate books on the deck of your ship. But maybe 10 or so of them fly up into
25.
the air and dissipate.
And they're free.
And
Yeah,
they're free.
They're
animated
free.
books.
I hope they're all romance novels, so they fly off. But yeah, I wanted to do that. And then the last thing I had, most importantly,
You
out
forgot
of
what to do with the
everything
soft
else,
puzzle?
out of everything else, because I don't think any of us are artists, really, so I try
I
and
wrote a book.
I commission a piece of artwork, a very large-scale painting or portrait that I can use the sovereign glue, so it'll always stay, you know, permanently and forever of all of us and our contributions to defeating Orochi and you know.
So is it like a
for-
battle scene?
Yeah, it's like
a
for generations to come. Like this is like a mural.
You could, with the money you have, like,
Commission a real.
Yeah, I would
artist.
commission a
Like,
really
you could-
nice.
and with
Is it in like a keen like Sunye style or something?
Yes.
you have the gratitude of the king and queen of the kingdom. You could, if you so wish, commission with your massive funds and the gratitude of the king and queen of the kingdom, a entire wall of a certain like a large room in a castle be painted with this image, if you like.
Ooh, the castle too. I was gonna put it in like in tribute to the actual in Kanya in the
Oh, okay.
village as
I mean,
well.
you-
But we
you
can do both.
You can do both.
You can do both. Yeah. So and I think the sovereign glue. Let me blow off the dust because it's so old.
Episode 1.
Yep, here it is. One of the first cards that you gave out.
Can't believe you still have it.
Yes.
We keep everything.
So it can cover 3 feet, 3 foot square surface total. So yeah, there should be enough for a very permanent seal on 2 different walls for a very large scale mural and tribute. And so that is the use of the sovereign glue.
So you put that in sort of the whatever building you set up as like the center of your government in your community within Kanya.
Yeah, it was either going to be like there after you said that, or it was going to be to the entrance of the shrine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'd be
Well, which
either.
one would you prefer?
I don't know. They're both good choices. What would you guys prefer? Because it's for us.
Put it at the shrine.
The shrine? Okay, we'll put it in the shrine.
Do
Yeah.
you include Nasria in the picture?
I mean, it's pretty big, so yeah, I think
All
we
the
could
spirits
include.
that came to help.
Yeah, and yeah. As much as we can, fill in kind of everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone will fit. That's fine.
So That's all I had. You know, a decent-sized hunter turn. So
And Harmony.
Well, it sounds like, at least for the first few weeks, I'm helping Hunter in the reaches,
maybe
tracking down. I mean, I want to
Yeah,
kick the
and
butts of some of the.
I sort of
camps
assume the
people.
group of you stay together for at least maybe half a year or so, kind of like cleaning up things in the reaches,
Right.
and then making your way to Freyden and cleaning up things there a little bit before eventually you disperse to your individual.
So during
projects.
that first half year, I guess we'll have that conversation about you, and I'll try to cast Wish on you, and I'll say, I wish for Zant to be restored to his true form.
Okay.
And cast the spell and see what happens.
Oh, check for wild magic, yeah. Oh, that's close.
I was hoping for it.
It was a 5. It was close.
Normal, but I have like a flower spouting out of my head or something.
You watch as you cast the spell. You speak the wish aloud, and all of you who are present, which I would assume all of you are, can feel the reality of magic, or the reality of the world shift with Harmony's magic. And you blink your eyes, and where standing before you once in Warforged form was Zant, or was Hunter. The next moment, standing before you in form you've only seen in the spirit world, is the human body of Zant.
Great. You can check that off the agenda.
To reroll your character sheet now.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I didn't know if it was me or you.
Do you want to roll it, or do you want me to do it?
It's just a percentile dice, right?
Yep. It's what percent?
33%?
To do what?
So if it is 33 or lower, it's 48. So you can still cast the wish spell.
33% chance that I can never cast that spell again.
Wow, that's a really big deal.
Yeah, that's why I was like really reluctant to do it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Put a lot on the line for you there.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Well, it's a 9th level spell, and I have one 9th
I
level
didn't
spell.
know
so
that was
I
the
can
consequence.
use it once a day if I wanted to.
Okay.
Oh,
But if
yeah,
I use
that's
it to cast
anything
to
but.
do anything but cast another spell, then it's a 33% chance that I lose it. But I do suffer damage, and I think
Oh no,
for
and
like-
your weekend and stuff.
what is it for?
2 ages of habit.
No, I take some damage.
Not that it matters.
No, the
Or-
damage. I take damage if I try to cast another spell before I sleep.
Right.
But my strength drops to 3.
Yep, and then it drops to 3 for 2d4 days, which I rolled, and I got 2 4s. So how many of you are out for a full 8 days?
So basically for the next week, I'm like bedridden.
Yeah,
I can't do
I feel
anything.
terrible.
It was worth
Does
it.
Hunter does Zant take care of her
Yes, of course.
for restoring
It
him
says
to
for
his-
each
My
of
dear
the,
companion.
those days that I spend resting and doing nothing more than light activity, my recovery time decreases by 2 days.
Yes. So
And we give you
Would
the
Because
utmost
so-
hospitality.
No.
soak it up.
I'd be like, I don't
Zant,
feel good. I'm
Xanth
just gonna go to bed.
bring me
Xanth
a
is
cup
great
of
to her.
tea.
That is awful. Like, remember this the next time you're tempted to reshape reality to your whims.
Saying to me,
Yeah.
this wasn't my idea.
this was the least selfish thing Harmony's done all campaign.
It is. It's true.
And like,
He's nervous.
and like, right when you say that and you're having this conversation, I'm like, there is one in the other room.
I
Like,
don't have the
It's in that
energy to
moment,
argue
like
with
you remember, Thaddeus, that there is, someone you could report her to if you deemed her.
I was gonna say is like, Hunter Warforged like doesn't actually show any emotion, but like Zant is like tomato red when you say that. Like super embarrassed and like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Like I didn't realize this is gonna happen. The consequences of
I
my
love
actions.
the idea of like a hunter who is just like the emotions are just playing on his face all the time because
Yeah.
you've been so stone faced the whole time.
Yeah.
Or should I say metal faced?
Yeah. So no more of this.
Aw.
What else for Harmony?
Okay, so after that dilemma, I'm like, I don't know if I want to try that again on
I
everyone
really wanted that coffee.
just
Sorry.
yet. So yeah,
Say that again now.
it's not important. But basically, I'm not going to cast that spell again
Mhm.
because that was a lot, and I'm tired. So I guess after the 6 months and we make it back to the capital, and I try to help Sadie talk to Dawn, and I feel like on the way back to the capital, I'm kind of like talking Sadie up to Dawn.
Roll a charisma check.
Just charisma or persuasion?
Yeah, persuasion.
Milking it.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Tides of chaos.
Tides of chaos, because that was a big fat one.
Okay,
That's not bad. 18.
Okay. You're sort of talking Thaddeus up, and Thaddeus is maybe walking a little ways ahead. And after a few minutes of this, Dawn just kind of looks down at you and says, "Look, Harmony, you don't have to talk him up to me anymore. You realize, I mean, it should be obvious, like, I mean, of course I have, you know what I mean," and she strides ahead with that.
And I'm just like, all right, my work here is done. I can leave here with a clean conscience. And I help you by making that parrot thing before we part ways. I make you like 10 of them.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
I would want to do something different every time I
So I'll make you
because
10 different
word
things.
would get around.
Yeah.
10 different things.
And one might actually be an actual treasure to someone I deem worthy.
But whatever you want me to
So
enchant,
tricky.
I make her 10 different enchanted things that are tricks that she can hide in treasure chests. Because I'm just like, I love this idea. And then I'll make my way to Redwater. I think once we decide to all part ways, because I don't really have a home to return to, and I'm not really like feeling like going back to my tribe just yet, but I'll go to Redwater and I'll check in with Eli, and I'll kind of hang out and help them for a while.
When you get back to Redwater, it's been a while since you were there, and Redwater has actually recovered pretty much almost entirely from the incident with Alkeen. Eli has taken up the role of the lead priest in his little temple, and he has maybe 4 or 5 clerics that serve under him. And he's still kind of like fumbling through, like adjusting to that role when you show up. And then he's probably in the middle of like trying to organize some charitable effort that they're doing when you come busting into the temple. And you see like immediately, like when he makes eyes with you, like he just gets flushed, like purple skin. And all of the clerics are just kind of like, what is going on? I've never seen you like this. And that's sort of what you walk in on.
Cool. How's it going?
Good.
You look pretty fancy.
Yeah, he's actually wearing like the sort of robes that you saw. I think his name was Elias. No, not Elias.
No, I know who you're talking about though.
The older.
The older priest. I've forgotten his name. That's okay.
I don't remember either.
He's got those sort of more like fancy high priest robes.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, these are nothing."
Moving up in the world, that's pretty cool.
Well, what about you? And he sort of like shoos the rest of the
I'm kind
clerics
of
away.
moving down in the world,
And
actually.
he shoos the rest of the clerics away and comes and meets you
And
on the
forward.
steps, where he can be a little more eye to eye with you. And he says, "No, I'm serious. I've heard stories from travelers coming through from the capital and from Aedeus. They're saying that all of the Warforged are coming back to themselves, and that it's all because of you and your friends."
I mean, it's, yeah, whatever. We just took out a big spirit monster thing. No big deal.
And you can see,
I mean, you were there. You saw it.
he gets a little bit like darker expression on his face at that point, because he then after a moment says, "Yeah, things didn't look good when I was there, and I've got to confess, I've never really been afraid that you and your friends wouldn't make it, but things looked bad, and after the turtle spirit returned me to my body, I was so afraid. I think I spent the rest of the time praying. It was horrible until I heard some news. So,
Well, I would have.
yeah, but it would
Been
have been
sending
like the next day, so he
messages.
still had to like
He's about to have that night
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
terror. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And if you hadn't come, I don't know what would have happened. So, thank you.
He shakes his head. And says, no, I think even if it hadn't been for me, you would have been okay. Just, I mean, knowing you guys, he just kind of blushes purple. And then you would have told everyone it's okay. Never mind.
Yeah, everyone's fine.
But he does say then, so how's Thaddeus?
Well, hopefully at this time he's doing pretty good. And I'll explain about how I was like trying to set him and Dawn up before.
Yeah, Eli gets a big smile on his face. You start telling him about your shenanigans.
Yeah.
And he just lets you talk about all of the silly things you've done.
And I basically just hang out, I think, for a while. I also want to try and get in touch with Mandus.
Mhm. Well, Mandus is pretty nearby, so if you tell him that you're in Redwater, he'll come to Redwater and be there with you for a little while.
Catch up with him, see how things are going with the orphans and the rebuilding of Ravenmoor.
Yeah. When Mandus shows up, he shows up with Ignatius, the Dragonborn who traveled with Dawn. And he tells you that Ignatius has sort of joined him in running the orphanage. And that Ignatius is learning things quickly. And a little bit of a sad expression comes over Mandus's face. And then he seems like he's hesitant to talk about something. A little bit.
I prod.
I thought so.
I'll take him off by himself and then prod.
It takes a little bit of prodding, to be honest. It's not easy, but he eventually tells you, look, Harmony, you know that I'm the last of my kind in this area. I don't know how many more of me there are of my kind there are in the world anymore, since the rest of them left this location long ago. But I'm starting to feel as if a danger has left the world, but in its place others will come. They always do. And, well, I want to be sure that my kind are always there to help those who rise against it. So I'm thinking about taking a trip, a little voyage around the world to see if I can find any more of my kind.
It sounds like fun.
I don't know how long it will be and or what will happen, but you can always reach me, and you can always count on me for help, and I hope you know that.
And
Not that you need it anymore at this point. And he gets a big smile on his face at that.
I hope you know you can always count on me for help. You know, I can probably get to you no matter where you are.
Yeah, he nods his head and says, well, that's actually very reassuring. You know how frail I can be. He then goes on to tell you how Ignatius and him sort of bonded, and Ignatius, being a Dragonborn, was very interested in Mandus's goals and ambitions with the orphanage and with the blood hunters that he was training there. And Ignatius has agreed to watch over the orphanage while he's on his trip.
That's nice. And the portal to the Shadowfell, is it still a problem?
Ignatius should have that well in hand, but without Alkeen, there's been
No breaches.
no breaches, no. Nothing more than a zombie here and there.
And that's easy for a blood hunter.
Of course. And he kind of sort of tells you then about how Alan has been growing as well, and being a very big help in getting Ignatius up to speed on running the orphanage and things like that.
Good. Awesome.
Anything else from Harmony?
Yeah, so after, I think, maybe a year in Redwater, during this time I probably would have been in contact with Moloch, too. And
If you want Moloch to come back to you, he will.
Yeah, I'll have him back, and then...
Long time no see, boss!
Yeah.
What's the mission?
Well, it's
He
time
seems
to
to have
start...
grown a little bit.
He's grown.
He's maybe like an inch or two taller, but it's noticeable to
He
you.
took your inches.
It's time that I held up my end of the deal. So let's start researching this Mother Midnight shit.
And he rubs his little claws together and gives you this big impish grin and says, "Let's fuck some shit up."
Yeah.
And the two of you,
So we program.
the two of you go to work doing what? What are you gonna do to try and research
Well,
this?
I'm gonna try to research Mother Midnight and see what information I can get on her and see if I can track her down. And if I can track her down, then I'm gonna call Thaddeus and probably all of you and say, "Hey, you guys want to go hunt a hag with me?"
Roll an investigation check at advantage.
Oh, that was gonna be a persuasion check. I'm like, DC of 1.
Investigation. That's only a 13.
A 13? Well, Moloch can tell you some information. And some of it you already know. Which is that Mother Midnight went by another name at one point, Malagard. And sort of taking that information and going to research at the libraries in Ferendel, you find yourself, you said 13? Mostly at a stalemate, but there is one reference of a hag named Malagard in relation to the 6th layer of the 9 Hells. And it's just a very vague reference. It's just like sort of a list of fiends that are connected to different planes of existence, and the 6th layer of the 9 Hells is called Malbolg, and in connection with it, you find reference to Malagard. And that is the lead that you would get for that check.
All right, so then I'll call everyone together, and I'll be like, "So, anyone up for a trip to the 9 Hells?"
Hell yeah.
Can't leave you to your own devices in a place like that, I suppose.
I mean, we've been out of the adventure game for a while, but I'm kind of pitching to go and take down a hag.
Someone you know personally?
Someone that left this for me.
That seems like something I ought to be along for.
That's what I thought you'd say.
Yeah, so we'd be in.
Okay.
And invite Dawn.
Dawn is a princess.
Yeah.
I like the one with the teacher.
So a few things will be sort of left to the group of you to imagine on your own, which is whether your relationships with Eli and Dawn progress at all, or whether, Mara goes and spends lots of time with Hugh Jackman.
Or defeats all the animated books.
I think that, like,
Finds my grandfather.
I don't know if Thaddeus and Dawn are like officially together, but he does break off his engagement with I don't
Runa?
remember her name anymore. Yeah,
Runa.
no, Runa was the other one.
Runa was the younger one. It was,
Not Brianna.
I just had it in my mind.
Just say Runa's sister.
Yeah, Runa's sister.
There we go.
It's gonna bug me, but I can't
I
remember
know.
off the top of my head.
I couldn't remember the priest's name either.
It was Phineas, it turned out.
Phineas, that's right.
White
I kept thinking you start with an I for some reason. But it has 2 I's in it. There's not the first letter. Runa and...
Okay.
Oh, I
I mean, I hope so. You have, like...
Signy.
Signy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So I think he withdraws from the betrothal with Signy.
Okay, much to the scorn of the entire Whitecrest family.
Yeah.
Wow. And then I guess, does Thaddeus,
I don't think he gets to that point yet,
you don't think so?
but I think he does spend a lot of time with Dawn.
Okay.
And it's like obvious to everyone except each other
No,
how much they love each other.
I think they know. It's just
It's like a...
It's complicated
it's complicated.
when you're
When you're
Um,
all right. What about Eli? I need some
Yeah.
closure on Eli.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she spends like a year or so there. So I would imagine
He's never gonna make the first move.
Well, okay then.
Do you still need to study
With Seal?
Seal? I can imagine you spending some
Potentially.
time.
I mean, I feel like I check in with Seal whenever I had a chance. But we're
Never.
talking about Eli again. Yeah, Harmony would make a move.
It's well received. So
I mean, she would, but it would probably be like when she decided she's gonna go back to the capital to start researching, or when she decided that she has to go to the capital to research, and she'll, you know, when she goes to say goodbye or whatever, as like a hit and run kind of thing.
Like a kiss or something on the way
yeah,
out.
yeah.
and then
Oh,
yeah. It's
nice.
like I'm leaving now.
Such a Harmony thing to do.
yeah, the last thing you see before you teleport out of there to the castle is just like him.
But I feel like it's probably very similar to Sadie and Dawn, where they like spend a lot of time together to the point where like they're comfortable with each other, but it's like no one wants to make that first move until finally she's like, I'm leaving, so I'm just gonna do this thing.
And yeah, the last thing you see before you teleport out of there to rendezvous with everyone else is his blushing face. Is there anything else the rest of you do? You do have a sizable fortune.
Yeah. Well,
How much money do you have?
20,000 about. A
Whoa.
little bit less than after we spent those diamonds, so it's
Yeah.
closer to
Ooh.
18.
Can I have recovered the staff from the lady we pushed off the edge?
Yeah.
Does it do anything special?
It's nothing special.
Oh,
Leave
then
the room.
fuck it. Then I'll throw it.
but on that subject, I am curious to know what becomes of Orin and his friend.
That's a good question. After Orin and his friend sort of exit the chamber with you, they stay with you for maybe a day or two to sort of recover some strength. But then, in the night, while a group of you are resting and sort of plotting your next moves, they vanish, and the world doesn't hear of them for some time.
Yeah, I don't know. Money has never really been anything that I care about. I just care
I feel
about
like
I'm the son of a dude.
Yeah, I feel
gold
like
and
if,
jewels and I mean
Mine's
like sparkly
stealing it.
things.
Does Mara buy a bigger boat? Do you guys want to buy a castle?
I think that
Well,
if
he
people
did
are,
use
yeah.
a lot of the fortune to get those.
I
those
spend like half my
paintings.
time at the castle.
No, I mean, Ethan was saying it was just like the king and queen or whatever would just gift it to us.
Yeah, they'd give you a section of the castle that you can take.
in the
You
in
still have to commission
Kraden,
the art.
but
Yeah. So we would spend I think as much as I don't know how much a big art piece would cost in gold.
I mean, not a dent into 20.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably not a whole lot, but that would be used.
You could put a lot to developing
If,
your
exactly.
central
Yeah, I was
city.
gonna say if nobody,
If
else.
is claiming
I'm
money.
guessing like right before we part ways, I'd be like, hey guys, we have this, and I would like show it, and I would like tabulate like on this paper, like, but this is how much money we have.
I
and
mean we could split it up and then
it's either
I think that is looking to say you know that I'm the son of a duke. Right?
and, yeah, and I'd be
We
like,
should just keep it as a party fund for whenever we decide to go off on one of our adventures.
oh, that's totally fine. But and then I'd kind of be like, well, I would like to spend most of mine right now, or in the near future, rebuilding some of this, and I kind of gesture to what I was talking about doing.
Seems like a worthy cause.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if we should hold on to it for a later date, or if you're okay pooling some of that for this. And so I would just kind of ask like how much or how little do you want me to spend? I'm not gonna spend all of it, but
Sure, I'm good with woodworking tools too, so I can help.
okay. So
free
I would
labor.
probably spend my portion of whatever a quarter is. So that's like what's
5,000 or so.
about 5,000 gold if I need to. Up to that much, sort of building up some infrastructure for this.
Yeah, that definitely helps speed things along.
Yeah.
You can have all of that. It's just,
Yeah, so I probably wouldn't spend all of the gold, but I would spend as much as reasonable that we think to help accelerate.
Say you
the,
spend about 10,000.
Sure.
And you definitely, that makes a significant.
a higher Barton to do a lot of the construction.
Yeah.
You have to like get him there though.
We have
Way on the other
teleport.
side.
I could just
we have a 9th level spellcasting
He
sorcerer.
twists his mustache and gives you a big thumbs up with an anime gleam. Bald
Oh,
head
I can do that too. Yeah, I do the same thing.
And so the group of you sort of coordinate and agree
So
agree to
probably-
meet up and apparently delve into the Nine Hells after Harmony's vendetta. But sort of while you're still separate, and as you're about to meet up into that, or and up to that end, I will just give you the closing words of this campaign, I guess.
Okay.
I closed my note to go find Signy.
Sorry.
Of course,
I think
right?
the only other thing is
Could have just said the white ghost girl.
when Mara's helping me, like, either ferry me back and forth, or, you know, when we do touch base between those times, I would probably ask her about, like, her grandfather, and if she was, like, ever gonna look at pursuing him, and if she needed help with that. So.
Well, I saw him once under the ocean, so you'd have to get close like mine.
I would. I actually have to breathe now. That's true. This
Yeah.
is different.
I have to go live with Harmony and see if she can make one.
Yeah, you're gonna have to re-roll your character as a human.
That's true. But it
You're gonna lose all of the Warforged stuff.
Is it human now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Who's that?
Does this happen?
Does this happen?
I had never thought about it, actually.
I never thought about it.
I mean,
So
he turns human
wait.
during the 6 months
Yeah.
that we're still
Yeah,
there.
that's true.
It's true.
And
Zach.
you guys you're carrying him across the ocean every
And you
single
help him
Mars
build
lives-
his village.
Mars lips are near your ear.
No!
She lives in
Oh no! And she says,
Do you let her?
no.
We're not doing it. We're not doing it. Oh,
That was worth it, just to get rid of
no.
I'm like on board though. I'm on board this ship.
It's seasick.
While the group of you are separate and before you come together, time sort of ticks inexorably onward as you sort of pursue your chosen lives apart and sometimes together. But whatever state you're in, you're always bonded by the time that you spent traveling and fighting to save the world. The world itself is as it always was, and at the same time, with the Elderhaven Reaches rejoining the world and the spirits that inhabited it, discovering lands beyond the fog for the first time in a millennium, it is also forever changed. Rumors and stories of some of your adventures spread, and your legend grows, until the number of people in Elendil who have heard your names, in one wild tale or another, vastly outweighs the number of those who have not heard of you, and you are no longer Antiheroes Anonymous. And that is the end of this campaign.
Okay.
You did it, you guys.
I mean, maybe what happened? I'm not sure. I don't know. I never really thought about it.
Aw, I like that though.
Yeah.
Especially if you're spending time together.
We would spend that together. That's the thing. I don't know. Yeah, I actually it never crossed my mind.
Well,
Because she like speaks your language.
That's
I
true.
have no people. You have people.
Wow.
She's got links to
Well,
the
you guys
Elderhaven
have
I'm a goddess.
time before the epilogue to think about it.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah,
we will
so
be
we'll be
returning
back.
at some point in the indeterminate future to do an epilogue to this campaign because there's many loose ends left untied. With Mother Midnight, Gavin, the Eye in the Moon, Mara's grandfather. Hunter's ends are mostly tied.
Well,
Yeah.
now he's got this big question mark about do they, do
Do
they
they,
not?
don't they? We'll find out in the epilogue.
yeah.
I guess I'll have to actually think about it now.
Oh my god, the tables have turned. We're gonna get to
I
tease
know.
him so much.
Thank you so much to everyone who watched this episode and any of our episodes up to this point. It's been wonderful.
112 episodes, you guys.
12 episodes.
Yeah.
That's not
It's a good run.
how many levels? 17 levels?
17 levels.
Level 17. So
I know.
I gotta say, guys, before we sign off completely, this has been my favorite D&D experience.
Oh,
Aw.
Thank you
it's
for
been
playing
awesome.
it with me.
Yeah, it's really fun.
And yeah, it's been great. So
Yeah, thanks for DMing.
that's all I have to
This
say.
Yeah.
It's been great. I love all of you.
We'll be back. Hopefully, we will.
We will. Soon. Soonish.
Thank you for watching and have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.